Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be coming up with the account segmentation. So specifically for the revenue versus profit quadrant analysis using a DAX. Okay, so far we might come across the building a specific scatter plot chart and plot to identify the patterns in it, like how the revenue is generating based on how based on the customer inputs and like how much profits are generating from each and every quadrants. So this has been came across so far. So right now what we coming up with is something different, and so far I came across more than 50 to 60 videos in a YouTube. No way you can find a quadrant segmentation with a specific analysis, okay, with a specific that too it's a dynamic manner, okay, and specific segmentation must be in a numeric format. Each and every calculation using a DAX has been clearly defined. I will be clearly going to build again for all of you. Okay, so please have a look on it. So how this segmentation is going to change based on the selection. Okay, this is not static at any point of time. No way you can find anything is a static here. Okay, so based on whatever, see for example, if I'm going to select for 2022, so you can find like the segmentation, in the revenue and profit segmentation. There you can find how the customers segmentation is changing accordingly. Specific quadrant, specific quadrant numbers is also going to change based on the selection what we are going to made in the filters pane here. So right now if you can see 638 accounts. So in that 638 accounts, okay, almost 60 percentage of revenue is generating from the quadrant one. Okay, this is a quadrant one which is in the green color. So from that space, okay, so the customers are just out of 100 percentage, the customers are only 20 percentage, but they are generating a revenue of almost 60% in it. Okay, that's how each and everything has to be defined. Okay, if you can think about quadrant 3, okay, here we can find almost 60 percentage of accounts, but their profit generation, their profit contribution is just 15% to the total. Okay, you can see the growth. So growth is very lesser and it has a degrowth when compared to the previous year. Okay, so their profits and everything, so each and every numeric context we can able to define, we can able to identify, we can able to clearly report to the end user or business leaders. Okay, so let me select any type. So the consumer. So based on the consumer, it is going to change. So how we are almost having 331 accounts. So in that, so how many accounts are exist? Okay, what's the percentage of accounts? How much revenues generating from the specific quadrant is quadrants? Specific accounts, specific section of accounts, and how much contribution from the respective sections and everything. What's the previous revenue, and what's the growth for it, and what's the profit generation from the respective segmentations, and how much quantity they have been sold, uh, and what's the average revenue from each and every quadrant, okay, and average profit. Okay, so these all things are going to change based on the selection. Okay, there is no such thing exist in a way which is static at any point of time. So if it is corporate, so corporate accounts are 194. So in that, if you can see what accounts are contributing it, and how much revenue is generating, what's the growth when compared to the previous quarter. So everything, each and every minute spec, we can able to identify here. Okay, so first for these things, so we need few things first of all. So what are we going to define to the end users? Okay, we are defining in the revenue versus profit. Okay, so we need revenue and profit. These are the two measures. At the same time, if you can see here, based on whatever the selection we are going to do, okay, specific axis is going to change. Okay, average revenue 850 897, average profit is 108. Okay, let me click on corporate. We can see average revenue from the corporate sector is around 1068, and if you can see profit is around 160. For 2023, it's around average revenue is around 1186. Profit generating from that segmentation is an average is a $130. Okay, so these two things, okay, right now one is a revenue and profit. At the same time we need an average revenue and average profit as well. On top of it, so based on that we need a color segmentation. Okay, based on, for example, if you're in a quadrant 1, these all has to show in a green. If it is in quadrant 2, these all has to show in an orange. If not, if it is a quadrant 3, with a lower revenue and lower profit generating quadrant, it has to be in a anything, any red, blue, whatever color segmentation. Okay, so for that color segmentation, we need a one more measure to define the coloring for each and everything. Okay, three measures, uh, you know, around five measures needed. Two for actual revenue and profit, two for averages, and one for color segmentation. Okay, let's jump into the working session, and we can build the same sort of thing uh, to to identify like how to build each and everything in it. If you can see here, we are just have a sales data here. In the sales data, so we have all the specific customer related information, specific address details, and what sort of shipping mode are we using, and what categories and subcategory, which is product related information, and what about the sales related information, how much sales has been generated, and how much the quantity has been sold out, and how much profit has been generated from the specific account. Each and everything is clearly defined in this place. So let's create measures which are needed. So as we have told you previously, we need two measures, one for sales and one for profit is a sum. Okay, let's use a new measure. Keep this as a revenue equals to sum of sales data. What is the naming convention? It's the sales data of sales. Okay, let's keep this as a revenue, and we need one more for profit. So now we got both the profit and revenue as a measures. Just a second. Profit is already exists, so let's uh, keep this as profit measure. So sometimes any might namings might be already existed, so let's create a different naming convention for it. Okay, so now let's plot a scatter plot. Let's see like what is going to show in the scatter plot. So I'll be taking the revenue and profit. This is revenue, and we need a profit for it in the y-axis, and we need a segmentation across what? We need a segmentation across the customers. Okay, let's pick the customer name to the values. Sorting of all the customers based on the revenue and profit. Okay, for that now we need to create a average values. Okay, two has been created already. Now another two has to create. So it's specifically for the average revenue and average profit to define the quadrants. Let's use the average revenue. Just help you understand how we are going to create an average. Let me take an Excel first. So just imagine we are going to have 10 customers with a specific naming convention of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, each and every person is contributing around whatever 10 to 15 and everything. Fill the series. So if you can see here, we need to find an average. Average means it's sum of revenue to the total customers. Okay, how much is the total revenue right now? If you can see here, the summing up is 108. So summing up to the total is 108. And how many customers do we have? So we have 8 customers. So now what's the average for it? So average will be sum of revenue to the total number of customers. So we are going to have 13.5. So based on 13.5, so anything will be less than 1, anything will be less than 35 will be one sort of segmentation. Anything will be more than 13.5 will be considered as another segmentation. Okay, let's keep as a different color for it. Okay, in the same manner, we have to create a two measures for it. One for revenue, one for the profit. So let me take so these are just a axis specific. So let me take a new measure. So just like how we have you know did the mathematical approach in the Excel, in the same manner we have to give the DAX commands as well. Now it's a average revenue. It's x-axis. So x-axis we are going to define for it. So how are we going to calculate it? So first of all, we need a distinct count of customers. Okay. Now take CST. So it's just a customers. Okay. Don't mind anything. So calculate distinct count of customer names. Okay. Across all customer names. Okay. So finally, this is just a customer name. So this is not going to change at any point of time. And customer we found it. Now we need a revenue as well. Revenue. So for this revenue, so calculate the total revenue across all account names. So we already created a revenue for it. Let's use the same measure across all customer names. So finally, let's return the condition like what is needed. So just like how we performed in the Excel, first of all, we have summed up the customers across all the customers. So finally, we found out 8 customers exist. Same manner, we found out how many customers exist. How much revenue exists for all the customers. In the same manner, we calculated the revenue. Finally, we got both like revenue and a distinct count of customers. So on top of it, we performed a divide to get an average. Okay, so now revenue return. So what do we need? Divide revenue to the CST, which is customers. Let's send up. So average revenue has been created. Let's bring that average revenue into the metric into the plot. So let's take x-axis constant line. Let's take another adding line. Instead of x-axis constant line, keep this as a average revenue. Okay, so right now average revenue is showing at a value of 0. Okay, because there is no axis has been defined. Okay, now we have average line for it. Okay, let's pick that value into the visualization. Average revenue x-axis. Whenever we gonna select it for as a fixed value, so this axis is going to change. Okay, previously it's in 0, now it has been changed to some other place. Okay, let's make a color to a different color so we can easily identify. So this is the color, and let's keep some detailed data labels as well for it. So it is showing 2896. Show data label. Show both average revenue, which is of 2800. Let's keep the decimal to 0. No need to represent all, and keep this in a side, like give a right alignment. Yeah, it would be in the right now. So now x-axis has been defined. In the same manner, we have to define another line for a profit as well. Just like how we created for a revenue, an average. Let's use the same. Where is this average? Average might be in the top. So let's use a copy and paste the same thing. Create another measure. Using the same approach. Okay, this approach is no changes. Instead of revenue, it's going to be profit. Okay, now as usual, the customer names are going to be same, and instead of revenue, it's going to be the profit. So instead of revenue, let's select the profit. IT profit measure. So we have, so this is just a variable. Okay, variable doesn't matter. So whatever the naming you are going to capture, so it doesn't make any sense. So just use it whatever variables you are planning to use based on the naming conventions. And now let's bring that profit also into the line. So previously we have, there is no axis. Okay, axis will be categorized at 0. Okay, just let me help you understand. Average y-axis. Let's add a line. So just by adding a line, so it's going to show it as 0 because there is no line or nothing has been defined for an average revenue or anything. Okay, this is average profit. So what is the value for it? So by default, it is going to show as a 0. So what are we going to show? We already defined some other value for it. So let's use the same for it. Just type for it avg, so you will get all the measures which naming convention with the average. So now we need average profit. It's not an x-axis, but don't mind the naming conventions. So now it has been changed. Previously it's in the zeroth position. Let me show you in a good manner, so you will see. Let's go to the data label and enable the data label. Actually data label is showing at the left end. Let's move that to the right end. Horizontal position, it's not a left. Keep this in the right side. So we can see here 361.16 is the profit, now average profit. So let's keep the decimal to 0, and instead of data value just show both the name and data value as well. Now we can clearly understandable which is average profit. So let's keep the naming convention is a bit colorful. So same for the constant line as well. So color is fine, line color we have defined, but at the same time data label color also just make a minor correction so we can clearly identify. Let's click again on the visual. So now we got profit, average revenue we got, and specific segmentation also we got. But now I need a color representation. Okay, so if it is in quadrant one, so color segmentation will be green. If it is in quadrant two, it should be an orange. Or else it's in Q3, it's in blue. It's a violet. So whatever, like based on the quadrant segmentation is going to change. I need a specific segmentation based coloring formatting. Okay, so let's create another measure specifically for the color formatting. Okay, so how can we define any specific segmentation? First of all, we need to know like how are we planning to it. Okay, so if any revenue is more than the average revenue and more than the average profit will be in a quadrant one. Okay, if any revenue which is less than the average and more than the average profit, okay, will be Q2. Here in this quadrant, this is third quadrant. So let's assign zoom sliders as well so we can clearly define. So now let's pitch in this manner. Yeah, so if you're in Q3, so this is going to be the Q3. So in this place, both, if you can see, it's less than average revenue, it's less than average profit. Okay, fourth segmentation, this is the final segmentation here. This is average profit is lesser, and it's a more revenue generating from it. Okay, so based on that, let's build the color segmentation for it. Let's take a color formatting, new measure, color formatting equals to. So we need to bring all that specific values to it. Okay, first of all, what is the x-axis limit? Variable. Keep this as a x limit will be average revenue. Okay, average revenue will be x limit, and variable y limit. So y limit will be average profit. On top of it we have our values. Okay, whatever the revenue and whatever uh, you know this is revenue, will be just a revenue. Variance of FIT, profit equals to as usual profit measure. So now we are going to define a switch condition for it. So in the return case, switch true. So just like how I told you right now, if any revenue of that account is more than the average and more than the profit, will be in a Q1. Okay, that would be a one color. Okay, now let's take not this revenue. Yep. So here x limit. So let's keep this naming convention instead of revenue. Just keep this as a rev. And it's a profit, PR. So use like revenue, revenue of any specific customer is more than the average X limit, and profit, PR, will be greater than the average profit. That's a Y limit. Okay, if that is the case, it has to be in a green. So you can define hexacode, or if you are not familiar with the hexacode, you can use an specific naming conventions as well. No concerns at all. Okay, this is the first condition. Okay, so if you can see here, so in the first segmentation, both revenue and both profit are more than the average values. In the second quadrant, profit are more, but revenue is lesser than the average. Okay, revenue. So let's copy the same thing. Okay, use it again. Just a change of. So here revenue is, previously it's a greater, now revenue is less than the average limit, and profit is more than the limit. Okay, there is no issues. So for that case, keep this as a orange. And third will be, so both are lesser to the limits. Okay, revenue of a specific customer is less than the limit, average limit, and even profit generation from the specific account is also less than the limit which was defined. Okay, that would be, keep this as a anything, no issues. We can keep it as a blue. You can keep this as a dark blue or whatever color you want. And finally, here revenue is fine. If you can see in this, quadrant 4, in this quadrant 4, average profit is lesser. Okay, profit is lesser, but revenue is more than the average values. Revenue is more than the X limit, and profit is, it's not a greater than, it's less than the X Y limit, less than the limit what we have given. So for this, keep this as a dark violet or violet, whatever. Violet. Okay, now this is the condition we have given. Okay, color formatting has been added to the measures pane. So let's go to the markers. So in the markers, we can find a color here. So color by default showing as a blue color. So let's keep this as a formatting approach. Okay, here in the gradient, we already have a a specific value has been defined. What color has to show for each and everything. So for it, let's search for color based on color formatting. Whenever we select it, so specific quadrant is going to change based on the color formatting what we have given. See, okay, so whatever, if you can see here, whatever colors we have defined here. Okay, first quadrant. Okay, quadrant 1, this is the top section. Okay, where it is a green, that's a quadrant 1. So where revenue is greater than the average, and even profit is also greater than the average limit, that will be green. So second will be revenue is less than the average, and profit is more than the average. So for that, it's defined as an orange. Okay, third segmentation is both lesser. Okay, nothing has achieved what it is expected. So revenue is lesser than what it expected, even profit generation is also lesser than what we expected. So that's why I kept it as a blue. So fourth quadrant will be revenue generation from these accounts is more than the average, but profit is not generating more from it. Okay, that is the reason why I just kept as a dark violet. So colors is up to our requirement. So whatever we gonna keep, whatever we gonna receive it from the specific stakeholder or a business user, so that we can able to define it. Okay, so now if you can see based on this, so we got even specific color representation as well. So if you can see each and every bubble showing the same size, I don't want to represent all the bubbles in the same size. Okay, each and every specific bubble must be placed in a way of understanding. So let's keep size in terms of revenue. Okay, so this is giving a bigger size based on what we have. So let's go to the markers again, try to reduce the formatting or reducing the size multiplier for it. So keep this as a -20. So this is somehow good looking. So we can clearly identify like whatever it is coming into the picture. Okay, so this is what. Now let's bring the like filters and everything to the dashboard pane, so that we can clearly understand whether the axis and specific color formatting is changed on based changing based on the selection or not. Because drop down. So whenever I gonna select any specific 21, so average revenue has been changed, average profit has been changed. So specific quadrant, segmentation, whatever we have defined the limits, so based on that each and every column has been updated. So right now we are in 21. Let's click the first class. Okay, so these are the account segmentation of first class. Okay, these many customers are generating a higher revenue. Each and every quadrant has been specified based on it. So now we got visual only. Okay, now we need to define the specific values which are coming in the quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3 and everything. So before we're going to jump into it, let's define the quadrants. Which quadrant is 1, which quadrant is 2, which quadrant. We need how many customers are exist in the quadrant 1, how many customers are exist in quadrant 2, 3, 4, and what's the percentage of it, and how much revenue are they contributing it. Okay, profit is generating from that specific customer segmentation, and how much growth has been. First will be Q1 accounts. Q1 accounts equals to, so we need same sort of distinct count of people who are more than average profits and average revenue. Calculate distinct count of customer names. Okay, so for this we have to filter the account names, selected account names, customer name, yeah, all selected of customers. So for these accounts, so as we know that quadrant 1, so we have to define a filter context for it. Okay, what filter context are we going to define here? Okay, so we do have it like revenue greater than x-axis. Where is x-axis? Where is this? I'm not getting it. Just a second. Yeah, average revenue. So revenue greater than average revenue, and profit also greater than the average profit. So average profit. So now let's see. Let's keep this as a text box. Keep this as a multi-text card so we can see all the cards in one go. So please don't mind anything for now. So I'm just building the context for now. So let me bring the Q1 accounts. Q1 accounts are 84 here. Now in the same manner, let's build a Q2, Q3, Q4 as well. Okay, same measure has to be repeated for 3 more times based on each specific quadrant. Oh my bad. This is for Q2. So Q2, as we know, its revenue is less than average, profit is more than average. If you can see, this is a quadrant 2, low average, high profit, which means less than the average revenue and more than the average profit. Q2 has been same for Q3. Let's build for Q3 accounts, new measure. So each and every specific value is going to be clearly defined. Okay, it cannot be like something is going to populate directly. It's not going to happen. So each and every specific measure is going to be clearly defined uh, based on the specific conditions. So both are less than right now, which means lower profit and lower revenue segmentation. And now the Q4, here higher revenue with a lower profit, which means greater than the revenue and less than the average profit. So into the Q4, revenue is greater than and profit is less than. So now let's see like q1, q2, q3, q4. Where is q4? Yeah. So let's filter for any subcategory art. So whatever is needed, so we're going to select, so we are going to get it. So here if you can see here, I mean wherever it is lesser, so we can clearly identify. If you can see the q4, it's 1 violet, 2, 3, 4, 5. So same number has been populated here. Okay, so many of the things are overlapped, so we cannot define it clearly. So here, we can clearly see it for the q4. Okay, so let's use phones as some. We can see everything here. q4, this is a q4 contains 2. q3, there might be 2 and one might be overlapping somewhere. And q2, this is 10 is showing some many things has been overlapped. And q1, there's two values here, we can see those two customers in it. In the same manner, we need a total accounts as well, like how many accounts, right? So accounts has been cleared right now. Now what do we need is, we need a revenue as well. In the same context, we need a revenue. So right now we are calculated distinct count of customer name. In the same manner, okay, instead of distinct count of customer name, we need sum of revenue. That's it. Instead of accounts, this is going to be revenue. Instead of customer name, this is not distinct count anymore. Calculate of revenue. Now Q2 also same. Q2 accounts we do already have exist. Let's copy the Q2. So same has to be copied from Q3. So in same manner, copy the Q4 accounts and create the Q4 revenue. Each and every revenue has been calculated. Let's create a total revenue as well. So in the same context, we have to create it for the profit as well. Just like how we created accounts revenue. So same sort of thing again, build it for profit as well. So for now, we have created the accounts, we have created the revenue, we have created the profits. In the same manner, we need a growth quantity as well. Okay. So first, let's create a growth. So for growth, for creating a growth measures and everything, so we need a comparative way, okay, for current year to the previous year. Okay. Now we have revenue for the current year, like these whatever revenue segmentation we have done based on the quadrant, that is the current revenue. Okay, now we need a previous year revenue as well to define the growth for that accounts. Okay, first let's create a previous year revenue. Based on the same approach, like how we have given Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 revenue. So let's create a Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 for the previous year revenue as well. So now we got a revenue previous year as well. Okay, let's calculate the growth after some time. So in the same time, just for the revenue, profit, and accounts, we need quantities as well. How quantity here? Let's sum up the quantity and segmentation as well. So first, let's create the quantity sum. Let's create a same segmentation. So now all measures which are related to the accounts, revenue, previous year revenue, and quantity has been created, including the profit as well. So now we need to define our segmentation based on the quadrant. So we do not have any quadrant table. Okay, so let's create a quadrant table. So is this a disconnected table? So there is no such connection or anything exist. Let's enter the data here directly. So we need a four quadrants. Just keep this as a quad. So let's load. So now this quadrant table has been created. Okay, so now we have measures. Okay, let's pick that measures into the table. Let's this to we don't need these many things. Let's wind up. So we need these quadrants right now to the space. We need to pick, for example, if it is a quadrant 1, it has to show the quadrant 1 accounts. If it is quadrant 2 accounts has to show. If it is quadrant 3, specific accounts, revenue, profits, everything has to show. Okay, so now let's create a some switch condition so that we can clearly define which is needed for us. Switch selected value. So why we selected value means, so we are in the quadrant segmentation. So based on the whatever the quadrant segmentation we are going to use. Okay, if it is quadrant 1, quadrant quadrant 1, then it has to give Q1 accounts. Okay, if it is quadrant 2, quadrant 2, then it has to show quadrant 2 accounts. If it is quadrant 3, something is mistaken. D quadrant 3, then Q3 account has to populate there. If it is quadrant 4, then it has to populate the Q4 accounts. So finally, if not satisfying any other condition, it has to show the all quadrant information in the total. Okay, now let's calculate Q1 account plus Q2 accounts plus Q3 accounts plus Q4 accounts. In that into this quadrant table, let's see how is it going to show now. See, this is what it is going to show. I doesn't know the reason why for the quadrant 4 it is showing 694. Okay, remaining accounts are somehow realistic. I'm not getting like the reason. QADRA. Okay, so if no condition has been specified, then only it has to populate. Okay, if you can see the quadrant 4 naming convention is not correct in the table itself. Okay, so let's make the same correction again. So we cannot do the correction here itself. Let's go to the Power Query transformations. So in the quad table, if you can see here, fourth naming convention isn't that correct. Okay, that is the reason why for quadrant 4 and for total also it's showing the same. QUA, it's DRANT. Yeah, perfect now. Click on OK. Now let's close and apply. Yeah, that is the reason why I just specified clearly the naming convention must be very clear and concise and up to the mark. Then only it is going to show. So previously it is 693 was showing even for quadrant 4. Now it is 74 because the condition for the Q4 has been satisfied. So it has to show the Q4 accounts. Okay, now Q4 accounts has been captured. In the same manner, we need a revenue as well. So let's bring the total revenue into the space. Yeah, revenue got captured. Now use the same capture the previous year revenue PY. Pick that into the table, and we have revenue. And now let's pick the profit. So let's pitch the profit into the table. Yeah, this is the profit. And so based on this, now we need a growth as well. So previously we haven't calculated the growth. Now growth, what is the growth? Growth is a current minus previous to the previous year revenue. So let's find it. So we don't need any quadrant segmentation for it. Okay, quadrant segmentation for the revenue current and previous year has been calculated already. So let's define the growth directly. Okay, slash total revenue minus total revenue PY divide. This is the variance. This variance has to be comparative to the revenue PY, total revenue PY. Now let's see. Let's bring the growth also to the table. Total revenue PY. After that, growth has to be populated. Yeah, so that is showing in the decimal points. So let's make that correction. That as a percentages of growth. Yep, and growth has been done. Now the quantity. Now we need average revenue and average profits. Okay, average means what is the total revenue. So in that total revenue to the accounts, okay, average will be comes into the picture. Okay, let's create another measure. So we don't need to define anything at a quadrant level. Quadrant level already has been defined. AVG revenue. Let's create average profit as well. So finally we got whichever is needed. So let's compare it with the previous what we have, and let's try to incorporate whichever is needed for it. So quadrants we have, accounts we have been, okay, accounts percentage, okay, revenue percentage is needed. These two more measures are needed. Let's incorporate those two as well. Now the revenue contribution. So as we know that revenue contribution, so first of all help me understand Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. Here 10 accounts, here's a 12 account, 8 accounts and 16 accounts. So okay, what is the total for these quadrants? First of all, we need to calculate the total. So what is 46 is the total. So now, oh, we need to find the segmentation percentage. The Q1. So what is the Q1? 10 out of 46. This 46 has to be fixed. Okay, this cannot change at any point of time. Let's keep this as a fixed. This one is giving 21 percentage. So let's see, and let's convert that to percentage. So now finally we get it. First one is 21, 26, Q4 with the 34 percentage. So in the same manner, let's create the revenue and account percentages as well. So revenue contribution percentage. First of all, we need a static value. As I told you, total needed. Okay, to define how much it is. Variable total equals to accounts calculate slash accounts to the all quadrants. All of quadrants. This is the total value of that accounts. Now return all accounts slash accounts to the total accounts. Total has been already defined as a specific variable in the top. So let's use the total as well. A revenue contribution. Yeah, here is a revenue contribution. Let's pitch that revenue. It's an accounts, my bad. Naming convention I just kept as a revenue contribution. So let's make that correction. It's not, it's a revenue contribution. So for the revenue contribution, instead of accounts, let's capture the total revenue. Oh my bad. This is also total revenue. It cannot be the total revenue. Yeah. So this is not account contribution. This is a revenue contribution. Let's keep it after the revenue. Same manner we need for accounts as well. The same manner, let's bring the accounts contribution to the table and convert that to the percentages. So let's try to do some formatting for it. Headers, uh, in a bold manner, and we need specific naming conventions to change. So the naming convention here we can change it. It's instead of quadrants, it just. So whenever we compare it with the previous version what we have built, so what else is missing? So quadrant coloring and a specific formatting and headers. So first let's make minor corrections in the see account percentage. Keep this only for one decimal instead of auto. And even for revenue, instead of revenue showing in that manner, keep this as a thousands with a one decimal point. And even for contribution will be the same sort of approach. Contribution maybe again one decimal place. Revenue previous year will be same again, one decimal place, and units will be in the thousands. Growth, let's keep the growth also in the same format. Let's keep this for one decimal because each and every percentages will be captured in that manner only. So it's that's a default way of representation. So it's up to us to keep it two decimal, three decimals, whatever the decimal is needed for us. And even profit, let's define the growth and profit with a indication. So remaining things let it be as usual for now. Growth, growth with the icons. So up and downs based on the positive or negative. So here growth. So if anything greater than 0, number, and less than max, or anything which is a positive, we need is a positive indication. And second one, remove it, it's not needed. And third one will be anything is less than 0 will be of negative indication. Keep the max of 0 percentage, 0 number, and anything less than that, keep this as a min to the 0 will be negative, and anything from 0 to more than that, everything will be in a positive. Instead of values, keep these values and totals. And now let's click on apply. So these values with a clear indication has been defined. Do the same approach for the profits as well. Profits, let's keep the percentage, instead of percentage keep the number, and anything less than max from 0 to anything which is of positive will be of positive indication, second will be the negative indication. So here the max. So after defining the positive and negative indications of the profit, so click on OK. So we are going to have the profit indication as well. So if anything is in a positive manner, so it's going to be represented as a green indication. If it is a negative, it's going to show as a red indication for it. Okay, so most of the measures which are needed at a quadrant segmentation. Okay, so if you can see here, so right now for 2023, it's 693 accounts. Let's go for first class accounts, whichever is shipping at a first class level. So it's going to take some time to load. Okay, finally it's going to give an outcome. So if you can see here 236 accounts. So in that 236 accounts, if you can see quadrant 3 where the low revenue and low profit generating accounts are, it's a very higher rate. It's a 63% of accounts have in that manner. Their revenue contribution is very minute, which is of 13% to the total. Okay, so in the same manner, so we can see each and everything in it which are needed for it. So average revenue for that accounts is just average profit for that $6 for that only. Okay, the same manner we can define wherever it is needed. So how we can clearly define everything. So based on that, we can get an idea like, so where we need to put efforts to generate a more revenue, how profits are generating, so what segmentation of customers are contributing more to the revenue, uh, you know with a higher profits, where we are generating higher profits with a lesser revenue contributions. So each and every question has to be clearly defined, has to be clearly answered based on this kind of segmentations. Okay, so let's compare to the previous version what I have. So other than the numeric things, if you can see here, other than the numeric things, remaining things are very minute. This is just a text box. Let's copy and paste. Don't mind the text box context and everything. So these are just a spacing, it's just a boxes, everything to keep the naming conventions and everything. Control V. Yeah, so we got it right now. So right now we can see this on the top, this bar. So let's format it and send it backward. Send it to the back. So we got it right now. So let's arrange these things properly. And at the same time, arrange this table visual as well. So this table visual has to be aligned to this. This is also keep everything is in the same line. So everything will be easily understandable. Do some arrangement for the filtering section. So you can add what and whichever the filters you want to the pane. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, whatever you're gonna select, these are going to change dynamically. Okay, let's make the header change as well. Let's see what is the header here, what we have defined for previously. So it's a revenue and profit quadrant segmentation. So let's go back. Let's go to the formatting pane. Go to the general, and here we can see here revenue versus profit paid quadrant segmentation. So let's keep this in the center alignment and keep a background. This is the color which I have maintained previously, and text will be white. Formatting will be around 16. See, so now we got whatever is needed. So we have everything in the visuals right now. Let's keep a category and subcategory as well. So in the filters pane, no issues. Let's copy and paste this. Put back. Keep the category for it. Let's remove the subcategory in that what we have already. So this is how the dynamic segmentation has to be built. So mainly four things. Two, what are the metrics we are going to define, and two, for the specific average, whether it's a revenue and profit, revenue and growth. So whatever you are going to build the quadrant segmentation in a dynamic manner, so specific values for the average values as well, and one for the color segmentation. So after that, each and every measure has been defined based on the specific, specific conditions to it. Okay, based on the specific conditions, so each and everything has to be clearly comes into the picture. So finally, like what are we going to do, a kind of formatting and everything, that's up to us, like what is needed. So based on that, so we can able to make that corrections and finally give an outcome for it. Yeah, that's all. Hope my session is good. Thanks for watching.